evening. Oh, I'm echoing. Wow.
Hello.
Hi. Happy Monday and April 25th.
I can't believe it. April 25th. I mean, wasn't it just like April 1st yesterday?
Right. Isn't this the best date of the year or something? You know, in Miss Congeniality, where they ask her, like, what would be your ideal date? And the person answers April 25th, because all you need is a light jacket.
Sure.
That's what I always think of today. I should have put that in our theme on the office hours. So welcome to the best office hours, because it's on the perfect date.
Perfect.
We're so glad you're here. If you're joining us across Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter, and we are here to answer your hardest questions. And trust me, we have got a list today. The people who submitted questions ahead of time really committed to the question asking, and we are so glad, because it's always better when you guys ask us questions and we can really create the content just for you. You know, we don't create content just to hear ourselves talk. Like, we got other things we could be doing. And so I really just want to make sure you guys know that when you come to office hours, we're really answering questions that you've submitted to us. And who will be answering the questions today? We have a new guest. Christine Welcher is joining us. This is her first time on office hours, and we are so excited she's here. She's our head or director of academic and supports all of our colleges across research and making sure they're doing, researchy things. You can talk about that. And then, of course, me, I'm the director of marketing here at QuestionPro. Christine, tell us a little bit about what you do at QuestionPro.
Oh, thanks, Crystal. Yeah, usually you have Kartik or Adrian on, so I feel like the bar is pretty high. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but yeah, I'm the director of academics and nonprofits in the U.S. And Canada, I guess. And so basically what I do is I help people with their research projects. I help universities get on board and expand the use. I help nonprofits, trying to track numbers better, show them like the data that they are collecting, how they can analyze it and actually get more useful information out of it. So a little bit of everything, I guess.
I love that. That's awesome. And if you're joining us and you'd like to ask a question, make sure you just drop in the comments where you're from. If you have a question, let us know, especially in live time. We're happy to answer it, even though we do come with a bank of questions. And if you're joining us for the first time, the second time, or the 100th time, don't forget that QuestionPro has a huge offering of products, from your basic survey software, like, I don't know, what kind of brownies do you want at the PTA today, to really advanced research questions like pricing analysis, and I'm going to say, I always say it wrong, but like your Van Westerndorp. And then, of course, our CX product line on a scale of 1 to 10. How did you enjoy that experience? And workforce on a scale of 1 to 10. How are your employees enjoying that experience? So don't forget that inside of QuestionPro, we have a huge suite of products that are just built just for you guys, and you can expand all your needs as within QuestionPro. And so there really isn't a need to go anywhere else if you really get into the QuestionPro community and dig in. But so that's really what, I have going on. We have a huge list of questions. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and kind of jump into a couple of the top ones and just start going. Are you ready, Christine?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're here today. Our theme today is why to get certified in research. So I have, not only do I want to answer why to get certified in QuestionPro research, but with the move towards kind of the democratization of insights and people doing their own market research studies, why is it important to get certified not only in best practices and QuestionPro?
Sure. Thanks. Way to just hit it off at the very top here.
Oh, thanks.
No, seriously though. there is just so much you can do with our software. And I mean, I've clients that have been using this for years and they're like, oh, I didn't know you could do that, or I didn't know that feature was there. So the big thing that the big reason that we actually developed this certification program is so that people could see those little individual additional questions, places where to find other information, tips on how to analyze things better. So, that's the big reason to go through one of these certifications. Is it's self-paced, so you can do it on your own time when you have the time, and it just kind of shows you a little bit more of what we can do and what the software can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is with the rise of, DIY research? I heard that term at IIEX last week, and anyways, I'm going to lean into it. Why do you think it's important that practitioners really learn how to use the software well?
So I guess there's kind of this move to people starting to do more stuff in-house again. I mean, there's like a big push to have all this stuff contracted and have other people doing it for you. But now people are either budget reasons or they just want more control over their own information. They're starting to do more in-house. And with that comes people who maybe understand how to read reports that are given to them or understand how to do a basic survey or something like that, but maybe they don't know how to do both or all of it. So it's just, people go to school for years learning how to survey and how to analyze and statistics and yada, yada. So, there's a lot to learn and there's a lot of nuances out there. So,
What do you think is one of the, honestly, I never would have thought about people going to school for years to learn how to survey. Like, it makes sense. I know that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you
the whole schools.
I know. I just Dan went to some alumni thing. Dan Fleetwood, shout out, went to an alumni event up in Dallas for the market research department, and I was just like, I didn't even know those existed. I'm not gonna lie to you. Me and my advertising, marketing, and people always assume, oh, marketers know market research, and that's not the case. And so very different. Yeah. What do you think is one of the pitfalls that companies fall into when they don't go through the education, self-education process?
So sometimes they are asking questions that they think they want the answers to, but they're actually getting responses to a different question. So it's really important to vet those questions, make sure that you're not leading with your answers, doing A/B surveys or A/B questions within the survey. So maybe you do a block of questions that are kind of more with a negative slant, and then another block of questions which have more of a positive slant, the same question, but different, asking it in different ways.
Oh my God, you're blowing my mind. I just was this is why I do office hours, because literally I learned so much.
Right. I mean, it's true. And so then if you do those kind of things and send it out randomly so that 50% of your people see it one way or the other way, then you can just kind of analyze those results a little bit better and make sure it wasn't the way you asked the questions or the order that you put the answers in, yada yada.
You say yada yada. The thing is though, I think there are so many people who don't realize they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where I think certification, whether it be through a college, which we endorse, or QuestionPro, I'm not always here to just sell QuestionPro, which I'm sure goes against some law somewhere, but making sure that we're supporting the industry as a whole, and making sure that you are educated on writing the questions the right way, making sure you're not slanting. I filled out a survey the other day, and because I try to do it now to be respectful to the products I buy. And at the end, it was what comments would you have? And I was these questions were not written well. And I was I really hope they did not pay a market research company to write those, because they were so poorly constructed in a way that was super leading.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you did, I don't know, I just was I felt so bad for them.
And it kind of also depends, like if they're just getting in and they're just trying to figure out, say, where their community is, or like just get the pulse of what's going on out there. Maybe you don't need to have such advanced, sophisticated randomization and all that jazz. But if you're paying for a service, you're using our product, there's so much you can do with it. You might as well get your money's worth, I guess. So
that's how I feel about using HubSpot. Like if people, like I am in HubSpot every day because we pay a pretty penny for it, and I'm going to learn how to use every aspect of it and try to push the boundaries when I'm trying to run reports and stuff in it, and I'll like email their help desk and they're like, well, you could do it this way. I'm like, but why can't I do it this way? And so always trying to make sure that you're getting the best value. I think being a educated consumer of whatever product that's in your life is really important, whether you're paying for it or the company's paying for it. And that, I think, is something that we're so used to things being like handed to us, like, oh, here you go. That when you have to really put in the work to be educated on your own side or your own dime, it like people are like, oh, it's a lot of work, but you're also like, the value you get is so much better.
Right. And when you can control that, those questions, you can control, the analytics behind it. You just have so much more power over your information, and you can make such more informed decisions on where you're going to go with everything from your research project to your organization if you're a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Informed decisions. I think that's really, I know we say the word insights a lot, like you'll get some insights, but I think making informed decisions is such a more tactical way of phrasing that, and maybe it's just me, but I tend to like, if I'm going to go on vacation, I make like a 12-point spreadsheet that's like, this is what we're doing. This is the flight I'm taking. Like, and so maybe that's just me, but like, would you not make an informed decision on spending, I don't know, $2,000 to travel? Like, you're obviously going to do your research. Hopefully. I mean, there are people there that just kind of like live a much more free life than I do. I also don't like surprise parties, if you can't tell. But, like making sure that you're making decisions based off of data that's not skewed, I think is really, really it's just being responsible.
Right.
So we kind of talked about why not only education is important, but QuestionPro certification is important. And you can find that in the link that Radhika is going to drop in the comment section. And QuestionPro certification is great. I took the first level. I never made it to the second level. And then last week, oh man, last week we were like I wrote out a survey for if you're a hippie or a hipster for 420 themed. And I wrote out the survey in a Google Doc, and I did the scoring in the way I thought was right. And then one of our our research services guy came in, John Oppenheimer, and he was like, nope. And he redid the whole thing. And I was like, hallelujah, there are people who pay better attention to this. But I tried. Mm-hmm. I did. I gave it the first effort.
That's where it starts. So you got to take that first step.
Dude, I was just really wanted a fun quiz, and then it turned into a whole thing. Dude, I never realized it'd be so hard to make just a really fun quiz. But it worked out, but I learned a lot. I don't know how many more we're going to do. So let's jump into some of the questions that we got. And can you share your screen?
Yeah. Maybe. Let me see here.
There should be a share button at the option. Bottom.
Got it. Oh, got to keep clicking buttons. Okay. Can you see it?
Oh, hold on. I'm going to add it to the stream. Okay. There we go.
Great.
Okay. So our first question from Vanessa is, can QuestionPro send an individualized email to each participant with a unique link that cannot be forwarded?
Actually, I'm going to show you. She put a lot of questions on there. I saw that. In full disclosure, I did send Vanessa a private email and answered all of her questions. But just for all of you out there who want to know, if you come into our main page and go to Resources and Help Center.
My job, Christine.
You can type in, what was this one? This one was the distribution with unique login or unique URLs, right?
Yes.
You just type in, your basic question or keyword or something, and here are a whole bunch of different help sheets on how to do that. So here would be her information on how you can get that started with how to change the URL, but there's also a batch export. So we have a feature within QuestionPro where, I don't know if you can kind of see this, but when you send this out, it will send a unique URL to each person so that they can only log in with that, and you can track, you can track who they are anyway, but this will also help you track it. So without going into like all the details on this, because it'll take a long time.
This is office hours. We do the details sometimes.
Oh, okay.
But to summarize, you can make sure that you're not, if you send out this batch, you can then see and make sure that each person is signing in with their URL based on X, Y, and Z. And if they couldn't forward it to someone to sign in as them, which is, really like if you have a community or a certain group of people that you're really trying to target, it makes sure that your data then isn't skewed in your survey outcomes.
Yeah. Right? And also, it helps control for bots and people just spamming your surveys. A lot of times if people just put it on an, like embedded into their website or something like that,
and it looks like so this isn't available on Essentials, which is our free license, but if you're on Advanced, Team Edition, or Research Edition, totally available to you. And Advanced would be our most popular product when it comes to paid licenses.
Yes, definitely.
I just had to get that in there. Now, if you're in the app, are you signed in the app in QuestionPro?
Yeah.
If you're in QuestionPro, this would be under distribution, I'm assuming?
Yes. So let's just go into a survey.
Let's do it. I realized in the last QuestionPro office hours that I actually edited a live survey as an example that I was using. And then I was like, why is this? I was like, oh no.
So yeah, when you go up here to distribute, there's emails and you can do lists. So you'd want to add a new list with all of the detailed information. So let me just this would be what your list would look like in like a raw data form. You'd have your IDs on there. You'd have their first names or their emails, whatever information you have, but you would need their emails, for example, so that you could then send it out in an email. And then when you go to send, hold on, list. Wait. Why am I not getting the thing here? Oh, because I haven't really sent this.
Aha!
There we go. So there you would go for the a shortened URL, which is a new feature that we just have that isn't even on there. Or this is that export batch where you would get the raw data of the whole sheet.
Awesome. So if you go to inside of your Advanced, Team Edition, or Research Edition license, go to Distribute, List, and then your little options on the right-hand side.
Here we go.
There we go. Awesome. So that's how you get there. If anybody had any questions, let us know. And then I guess this is like a great, a great follow-up question. She wrote these in like ideal order. Can you then track each participant's response?
Yes. So what I told her is there are a couple different ways that you can do it when you have it sent. And of course, I did not send this out in email, so I don't have it to show you. But there would be, okay, let's just,
Please use this. Sometimes I just go to this chat, guys, and that make them tell me.
Or you can do that. So after you've sent an email, oh, this is the right one. There are actual like different time periods on there. So you can see like each time you sent it. And then you would click on there and do the response tracking. Let's see.
Okay.
Survey distribution. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. So here are like the timestamps of when you sent it out. And then you can see how many were sent, how many bounced, pending, all that good stuff.
Okay.
And then another question she has on there, kind of jumping forward, is to send reminders. So while we're right here, I'll just show you. When you go on this and you hover over a line, this little thing will pop up that says send a reminder. So that would be to anyone who hasn't taken this survey yet. And you can have this set up even if you have, if you are trying to control for, if you're making it anonymous or something like that. So you're not actually, you don't know who the people are.
Right.
Even then, you can set up these reminders and the system will give everyone an ID, a unique ID, and then that's how they will track it.
That's awesome. So not only does it follow, let's say, security guidelines and other things like that, you can just automate it and set it up, set it and forget it. We talk a lot on office hours about doing like your pre-homework when you're setting up surveys. And I think that a lot of times we talk about like, write your questions ahead of time, know the logic and do it all on paper. But we don't talk very often about setting up your distribution and details is part of that homework.
Yeah.
You don't want to get like a week into your survey and be like, why is no one taking my survey?
It happens. Yeah, that is really important. And a lot of times, also, let me just show you, like, even when you're setting up your survey, there's this settings tab. And of course, save and continue. Do you have a lot of open-ended questions in your survey? And maybe it will take people a little bit longer to do it. You can click on this save and continue ahead of time. And then that allows the person to, get partially through the survey, say they want to save it, exit, and come back later. And it will send them a little email, which you can customize and edit, and that will have the link where they left off. Hopefully it's coming here.
There we go.
So you can customize what it actually says, but this will be replaced by the actual link of the question that they left on. So
that's awesome.
That is a nice, considerate thing to do, especially if you have a lot of open-ended questions for people. But there are also things in here. For example, I have a lot of professors that do their finals, especially now that we've been going remote for the last few years. So they'll set up this closed date and time. So maybe they will give their students 3 days or 4 days to complete it, but they only want to give them 2 hours to actually do it. So they close it for this day, and then they'll set it for 2 hours, and then the survey will just automatically terminate. So you can't cheat.
Wait, are they using surveys like tests?
Yes. So you can write open-ended questions in here. You can have it scored. There's there's also an option to upload a file. So maybe they, maybe it's a statistics quiz and you, click on the right answers, but then you have to show your work. You can scan in a document, upload it. And
college sounds really hard.
Oh, the things you can do.
Yeah, that's like something that could be its whole own office hours. It's like how to use surveys. And I think that is what people so often forget is like surveys or things by any other name are sometimes just surveys.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
so we call it a test or a quiz, and you're like, well, it's technically just programmed as a survey. You're in
Just
the
a
surveys
survey.
tab.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really cool though. And especially great for those academics out there. And so like veering a little bit off from Vanessa's questions, what if you are doing, let's say, a PhD level study? What are some of the features, whether in like the distribution or even in your in our advanced license, that helps those practitioners could lean on? And just give me like your top 2 favorite question types.
So one of the big things, and this comes with even our essentials, but when you're creating a new survey, so let me get up here, actually go to the survey.
I think you need to click on academic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I was like, that product just I did not. I was like, that's not. I don't. Okay.
Okay, so here's just like creating a new one, but a big thing when you're doing your master's or your PhD license is, especially if you're doing any kind of testing with human subjects,
Right.
You need to go through something called the IRB, the Institutional Research Board, and get it approved ahead of time. And one of the big requirements in there is that you add this info at the beginning. So you have to tell people who you're interviewing, what the project is about, how you're going to use the information that you've collected.
Okay.
Blah, blah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to like check off the boxes. And so this is kind of already set up for you. It's automatically in there as soon as you hit click info or hit add intro. And then you just, fill in the blanks and just type in whatever in here. So that is really, really helpful for people who
wait, show me how you got there again.
Yeah. So
sorry, I was distracted.
No, I have to do this again. I've never had to do that before, but okay. So new survey.
Right.
And then, whatever your survey name is, and you hit create. And the thing is, it's hard to do this later. So you really need to like do this at the beginning. There's another reason to do your homework ahead of time. But this first block then will be, you can start adding questions, which is what a lot of people do, but it's really add this intro, and then you can just
it just defaults.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes, it is great. Because it is, and you can see like, here's an area that you fill in, here's an area that you fill in.
Yeah.
So this information is pretty much already customized for what we know that the IRB will be asking for. So you can just kind of quick update it.
That's so fun.
It's all there. Yeah.
QuestionPro is also all about making it like as easy as possible for you, right?
Yes.
Like we really, because we have so many practitioners, even on our teams, like it's not just people being like, use our software and then like not helping you and not thinking about you. And so, if you are in the academic world and you are, kind of struggling with like just your basic processes, always reach out to us or just like click around and find what you need. There's probably a lot more available that you might not even realize.
Yeah.
I'm all about, but I like 100% endorse button clicking. Just like click as many buttons as you can. I don't know. I learned things. Very tactile.
And I guess so the other thing, even in our advanced, you can randomize questions. With the advanced, you don't have the option to randomize blocks, which is kind of a nice feature. But so here is a section.
You have to assume then people know how to use and value blocks, which like you say that in like a way that's like everybody uses blocks, and I'm like,
okay, we'll get to that part B. Anyway, within these questions, so you can go actually within the question itself and do when you're setting up the logic, you can do things, but also if you just click to the very top of here, you can do question randomization. And that means you can say like, which question you're going to see or which, so these would be anything that you'd put in here. I only have 2 questions in this block, so it's not the greatest demonstration, but this first block would be questions that you want everyone to see. The second one would be the ones you want to just randomly show up. And then this last one would be questions you don't want anyone to see. So maybe this is a survey template that you have and you've been using for years, and there's a couple of questions in here that you don't want to get rid of because data is attached to them,
Right.
but you're not using them anymore. You can put them in this block here and then people won't see them anymore.
Okay.
But here, and then because I just have these 2, it'll only say 1, but this is how many do you want randomly displayed. So maybe if I had 15 in here, you could say you wanted 3 of them shown. And then I want them evenly presented. So every time the survey goes out, a different 3 will be shown to people. So that's how you can control.
Oh my gosh. I literally just slacked Adrian and was like, Christine is way more technical than I'm used to on this.
You said you wanted details.
No, I like the details. I learned so much, but I was just like, oh man, there is like so much more about like surveying that I don't know. I was like the other day, I was feeling overconfident because I was the one that actually had to demo, and I was like, here's how you add a logo to the survey. And I was feeling great.
Those are very important steps. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Well, I mean, if someone gets a survey and it looks all weird and there's no logo on there, they're just not even going to take it. So that's
now, what are some of the, now I will say that we, details are great, and there's lots of ways to make sure that you're not leading the respondent and like walking through that. Is it possible for survey programmers to over program?
Probably.
I feel like you could go down a rabbit hole of like,
yeah,
really
I mean, there are, so this kind of gets back to what we were talking about at the beginning. It's really important that you know what information you actually want to get, so you know how to ask it and you know how to direct people to the right questions. So let's see.
I was just like, I feel like somebody could like convolute their survey very quickly, saying like, these are, I know how to do this and I'm a practitioner, and then like overcomplicate it is like where I can see this going really easily. I don't mean to insult any of the practitioners out there, but like, it seems like a rabbit hole.
Well, the good thing is if the logic is sound on this end of the the person that's making the survey, the person taking the survey, the end user, won't really see all of it, so they'll just seamlessly be directed to the next question.
If the logic in the back end is weird, the respondent never knows.
right. So you're not, if it's not set up correctly, then you're just going to get some information back that you might not be very valuable. So, yes, you can overcompensate. You can, make things really, really difficult. And maybe in some cases, so based on how someone answers a certain question, maybe you want to direct them to a totally different block of additional questions. Things like that are pretty easy to do. It takes a little bit more of like the logic and everything behind it. But maybe then you don't want to like send them to another survey and then try to bring them back and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I mean, the more you put in there, the more it can go wrong. So
the more people what?
The more that can go wrong. So
that is correct. I'm a big, I definitely have realized like when I'm taking surveys in real life, I fly pretty often. So I get, surveys from Southwest and Alaska, and I'll do like the first 5. And then there's always an option like, would you like to do more? And I was like, I did it yes once, and I got stuck in like a 30-minute survey. And I was like, I don't want to be here, but I also feel responsible for completing it. So I just started clicking no, because there is, sometimes to the detriment, we'll like, if you got them, ask them all the questions. And I would say that I am much, just from a marketing perspective, and much more prone to lean towards like high frequency, less questions. But I know that's not always like a practitioner's dream.
Well, I mean, it is important that you get those additional nuances, and that's what usually those questions drag it out a little bit more and try to get details.
And then they ask the same question like 5 times because they want to make sure. And I just like.
But the thing you have to kind of watch for is that, as a rule, people who are either very satisfied or very dissatisfied are the ones that want to tell you about it. So, and just like in taking that into consideration, that information can be biased because you're not controlling who's seeing your information.
Ooh.
It's being left up to the person, and that can introduce a bunch of bias as well.
Yeah, we could also do an office hours on bias, I feel like. Anyway, somebody just pointed out that both of our initials are CW, and I really like that.
And
I'm listening to you and not doing other things. No, I really. Okay, we've got a little bit of time left.
Okay.
Let's talk about distribution or analyzation.
Yeah.
That's not a word. Analyzing.
Yeah.
So when you send out your really well formulated, like thoughtful, multi-part, blocked survey.
Yeah.
How do you analyze all that data? I'm going to use blocked as a word now, and like Dan's going to hate me.
So this is just kind of a basic survey that I sent out to my fellow coworkers here at QuestionPro. So the answers are kind of bogus, but I did that so that I would have some, data to show people. But anyway, so right away at the beginning, as soon as you, click on the analytics, you will get all your responses. And this is a wonderful dashboard, actually, that just like pops up in QuestionPro. It's really great. A lot of your information is right here. Most of this 25 completes is me demoing this and not completing it. So that's why the completion rate is so low. Anyway, which you can go through and change that later. But so this kind of shows you like where everyone was when they took your survey, for example. This gives you the answers then in detail. So I had questions. This was a basic like university survey that I did. So, what year are you? What department are you in? What classes did you take, et cetera, et cetera. Oh. So all of this stuff can be customized. You can do columns, pie charts, bar graphs, lines, depending on what the question type is. Up here under dashboard, you can do participant statistics, which is data that you will need when you are filling out your IRB report at the end and like when you're doing your final analysis. So basically it says like out of all the people that you sent it to, how many actually completed it. So you want like your dropout rates and things like that. So all of that information is here.
Now, is that all considered in your like IRB? They review all of that to make sure you have like valid research.
Yes.
Data. Cool.
Yep. And when you submit your final project, your review board who like looks at your dissertation or your thesis and says, yes, you did a good job, you can go on to the next level. They will also require all this information.
Oh, well, that's fun. As someone, I never like, I got a bachelor's. I'm good. Stresses me out.
It's a lot. And I'm just going to admit it. This is not the most fun part of the process. So,
I wouldn't think so.
You have to do it. I mean, it is kind of fun when you get to see the analytics. So you can do data filters if you do like a longitudinal study. So maybe you ask people the same questions every 6 months or every other month or something like that. But you ask the same grouping of people. I do not have that in here, so I can't show you. But if you go to the Help Center and type in trend analysis, you can set that up so that you can see how they answered the questions over time.
Nice.
It's
we're definitely digging into some of the more deeper details than we ever have on office hours. And I love it. It's great. I mean, I really think that I definitely underestimate that there are like students out here doing this. Like typically I only focus on like B2B corporates that are doing this. And so I just like shout out to any students in the world having to do this, man. Like my hat tipped off to you.
But this is also useful for organizations. So maybe you have a group of people that you're asking the same question, or that trying to figure out how they are liking your product or your services or whatever. We also have a product at QuestionPro called Communities, which works really well. You can put them all in there and track it. And
one of the most underrepresented, I think one of the best products at QuestionPro and the most underrepresented, but not anymore. We hired a marketing person for it today.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Fun. No. A little teaser out there for anyone watching. Communities is going to be coming in hot. I think
it's a great feature.
So good. And I really and the more I've learned about it, the more I realize I have qualified into other people's communities. Like the amount of surveys I get from FabFitFun on my FabFitFun box, I'm like, I must have I hit some sort of algorithm that was like, ooh, Crystal. And I was like, oh no. So I get a survey a week.
You're in.
I know. And because I work in the industry, I feel like a responsibility towards answering them. And so then I feel a little trapped. But also being in the industry means I'm disqualified a lot too.
Yeah.
On a side note. So that's pretty funny. One of the other things is let's talk about data validation and data cleansing, or making sure that you don't have spammers. I know there's ways to do that, but talk about data quality, and then we'll talk about how to share a report, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right. So data quality is probably the most important aspect of your survey, and probably the least attention is given to it in the front end, I would think. So one of the things you can do, actually, you can do it afterwards, or you can do it before. Before is even better. You go to this data quality tab under manage data. So you have to go analytics, manage data, data quality, and you can see if there are gibberish words, flag the response, terminate it, do nothing. So basically this will flag it for you so that after the survey is done and you're looking at the participants, let me see if I actually have, I can show you.
Ooh, I bet you there's some speed traps if this was all.
So speed traps would be another one, but it will give you a little flag here, and it will tell you gibberish words were used, or a pattern. They recognized a pattern.
Where you're like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Or if so this one, average people were taking probably 50 to 90 minutes or seconds to take it, or minutes, sorry. And this person took 3. So that was flagged for that reason. So you can set it up. If you go back here, data quality, there are a whole bunch of different things that you can set flags for. And I would probably recommend, just in case maybe someone just got tired of the survey or something and the rest of their data is still good.
Yeah.
Maybe just flag it. But you can just flag and terminate. If you're sending it out to a whole bunch of people and you just don't want to deal with it, flag and terminate, and then it's done. It's out of your data set.
And it disqualifies that answer.
Yeah, it disqualifies, the whole response.
So if you were distributing to an unknown demographic, let's say you just put it out on social media, or you dropped it in a Reddit thread, then you could do that as there's surveys on Reddit all the time.
Yeah.
And so you could definitely put it there and terminate that response.
Yep. A pretty popular one is called a snowball survey. So that's you send it to people and then they send it to people and then they send it to people, to try to get more responses.
Oh, like forward to a friend.
Yeah. It works. If you're trying to build up your number of responses, and you can get in with like maybe an email list of a group that you fit the demographics, and then you're hoping that they have friends that also fit those demographics. That is something that people use and do quite often. If that is something you're going to do, I highly recommend you go to the data quality and check some of these off first.
I love that. That's a great just resource. And this is, if you want to learn more about this, we can go to the Help Center up on the right. See, type in data quality. The Help Center is very detailed. I would like it has, look at all these options. And so you can learn all about it, see which licenses it's available on, and really get into which one you want to use. It takes some reading as someone who's like a little bit more visual, make sure you buckle in, but it is really important. And then when it comes to then distributing your results, not only based maybe in your IRB, but let's say to your professor, I don't really know that much about college research, evidently.
Well, I mean, and so you're you have to send in your report. Maybe maybe you're an academic who's been hired by a company to do some surveys, and then you have to send it in to them, or you're an organization that has to send it into their advisory board, or whatever. There's always a reason that you're doing the survey, and it's usually to send it to someone else.
So show us, how do we send those results out then?
Sure. So then when you go to your analytics, and there are a couple different things you can do. You can send them this whole dashboard where you hit share, and then they have this link, and they can go in and look at it exactly the way that it is set up. So maybe you only want them to see, for example, I set up a dashboard. So there's 52 respondents. I set up one that only undergrads, what they had to say. So you can see that it worked when you set up your filters right here. Now there's only 6 people. And so all of this information is just how undergrads answered the questions. So you could send that if there was something, kind of unique or interesting that you found. You can set it up based on questions. So maybe you're just reporting on you're not done with your report completely, but you just want to give people some updates, and you found some interesting information on question 5 and question 13. Right. You can filter it out so that they only see those questions. And again, you just hit share here. However, if you are...
I know there was a question about exporting or downloading an Excel file.
Yep. So you go back to your manage data and export. And so here's Excel, here's a CSV file. If you do any randomization, you're going to want to click this tab, for example. You can also, QuestionPro actually will do some PowerPoint slides for you, or like a Word document for you. I recommend setting up your template ahead of time. Otherwise, it's just the QuestionPro template.
You can use our branding. I may not recommend it, but it's you really want to double endorse QuestionPro, go for it.
But you can change the colors, you can change the fonts, you can make it look a little bit.
This is another one of those features that I don't think that many people know about, is that you can upload your custom template and then literally just download the PowerPoint instantly in your branding. And anyone who knows oh, hey, I got to send this to the design team to update the branding on this slide deck. Design teams don't like doing that. I'm gonna be honest, but we do it because we're nice. You know what I mean? Yep. But if you joined us for office hours in March, we talked about marketing in surveys and in internally marketing and external marketing. And if you do have a marketing team or you have a template that they've given you, make sure to upload that. It is the easiest lift you have to make something customized and beautiful. But I think so many times we just don't like highlight that feature. You can still randomize.
And it just saves you so much work. You upload it once and then you can download any data you need, any slides, you can make your whole presentation and we will make it for you basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
You know what? Sometimes I think it's okay to be like, oh yeah, we're great.
Well, as someone who struggled with Excel and making stupid pie charts and blah, 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 this is awesome. And I really wish I would have known about it sooner.
You're like, so here, if you struggle with Excel, this would be your lifesaver then.
Right.
And then you're about to click on a data filter. So I'm assuming based on different sets, you could export data.
Yes. Yep. So here again, you can, by like response, I set up this filter ahead of time. That's, just for undergrads. You can filter questions. I mean, anything you want to do, basically, it's here. You can do it. You might need to look at a help sheet or email us, edu@questionpro.com. Someone's monitoring that 24/7. Or, of course, go up here into the chat and ask them right here.
The chat team is very helpful.
Yes.
Sometimes I use a fake email so that they don't know it's me.
Right.
Like, I work here. Can you help me with this? And then they're like, what's your login? And I'm like,
never mind.
Bye.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything is here and there are incredible time-saving features if you only know how to use them, which is, again, why you should do the certification.
Yes. And bringing it back. I'm going to pull your screen down so it's just us. Yeah. We have about less than 5 minutes left, bringing it back to why you should get certified, not only in QuestionPro, but in market research. Make sure you're doing continual education and understanding, what trends are happening, going to conferences if you need to. We just got back from IIEX and man, that was my first market research event ever. And I learned a lot. I'm trying my best to figure out where, how we use that information to move forward. We also see trends of how people are going to be doing research. And so if you are pro the democratization of research, which QuestionPro is, because we build the software to empower you to do that, make sure that you have kind of that back end knowledge to do it well and to just represent market research well in the world. So Christine, what is we got less than 5 minutes. What do you got going on? What do you want to tell the people about?
Yeah, so we're doing a few new things with academics. We have an advisory board for academics, mainly because, normally with our software, when we're working with corporate commercial clients, it might be a huge organization, but only 4 or 5 people actually ever use our software. But when you're working with a university, hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, are using the same organizational software. So there are just a lot of little things that, we're learning as we improve. And our advisory board is helping us do that and shortening our learning curve for us, hopefully. So it's really great to get users of all different levels, all different, we've got staff, faculty, students using it and giving us feedback on, like, we have new features all the time that are in beta testing, for example. So we give them access and they run with it and they say, this is working, this isn't working. And it's just a great way for us to get those features out there, to get our product out there and to really customize it to how people use it.
One of my favorite beta, I don't know, I think it's out of beta now, is the live cast that can track your facial expressions. Man, I love it. It's so crazy. I was just looking at a Live with Dan episode that Dan and I did about it. And I was like, we need to do an office hour or even maybe a webinar about some of our more advanced features. Like you're talking about things that have been in beta testing that may have moved out. And if you've been a QuestionPro user for a long time, you know that the platform changes. I mean, every software platform changes. I feel like every time I log into HubSpot, something else is updated. But, you know, and I'm a lover of like slight chaos. So for me, it's not a big deal. But I'm for sure for some people are like, So office hours is a great place to make sure you can learn that. You even see us learning in live time when like that drop down switcher changed, and it's a better representation of our products, but not everybody is ready for it. So this is a great place to learn not only about things that are in beta, but things that have come out of beta. And then obviously join the advisory board if you'd like to have an opinion on it. And then if you need to reach out to Christine, like she said, reach out to her at edu@questionpro.com, especially if you're in a college or university or academic of any sort. We are really here to support you guys as you move forward your careers and your academic research.
Yes, thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was a really good. So here we go. We are going to call this office hours a day, and we will be back here in May, but I don't know exactly which date yet because of Memorial Day stateside. So we will be back in May. Please join us then, and we will have a new hot topic to discuss. Thank you so much, Christine, for joining us.
Thank you. Good luck,
Have
everyone.
a good day, everybody.